It was late November of last year when my uncle came to visit. It was one of those calm, chilly nights that feels forgettable until it's not. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone. The living room was dim, the kind of peaceful quiet where you hear the hum of the fridge and the occasional distant bark from outside. Then the bell rang. It was my uncle. I don't know why, but seeing him just made me happy. That warm, grounding kind of happy. We hadn't seen each other in months, so we talked for hours. About work, family, old memories. I ordered steak and a couple of cold drinks. We put on a movie. The couch sat opposite the main entrance, and everything just felt normal. Safe. Around 1 a.m., he turned in for the night in the guest room. I stayed behind to do some light cleaning, just picking up the plates, running the water, checking my phone between tasks. That's when I saw the message. It came from our colony's WhatsApp group. Urgent. Robbery at Mr. Rajan's house. Suspects seen on CCTV. 3 men. Stay alert. Police en route. Attached was a video. Blurry, grainy black and white footage. But there they were. 3 silhouettes. One had something metallic in his hand. Another had what looked like a small toolkit. They moved like they knew what they were doing. I stood frozen. My first instinct kicked in. I ran to the main gate and locked it. Then I shut every window on the ground floor, one by one, heart racing. As I was heading upstairs, I heard something. Footsteps, crunching gravel. Right outside, I killed the lights. Silence felt like a blanket. I crouched behind the couch, my breath shallow. Every second felt like a minute. I watched the window, and then saw something slither in. It looked like a wire, but not just any wire. It was a micro camera cable, the kind I had seen in those break-in tutorial clips on Instagram Reels. They were here. I quickly texted the colony group again. They're at my house. I saw the wire. They're trying to break in. Seconds later, another tool slid in. It clicked softly, and the window lock popped open. My stomach dropped. I could hear my heartbeat. Then I saw them. 3 of them, just like in the video, all dressed in black. No masks, calm, methodical. One carried a blunt tool like a crowbar. The second had gloves and a bag. The third, he just looked around, scanning the room like he lived there. I didn't move. I was crouched behind the couch, inches from them. I felt paralyzed, like my body no longer belonged to me. They headed straight for my workroom. My Lenovo Legion, my iPhones, everything I had worked so hard to buy, now slipping into a stranger's backpack. I felt sick. I had my Android phone still with me. I kept texting the police. They're inside, please hurry. Please, I'm still here. Please. The reply finally came. We're 15 minutes out. Stay hidden. I wanted to scream. 15 minutes? I didn't have 15 minutes. Then one of them turned. Toward the hallway, toward my bedroom. My room doesn't have windows. No way in, no way out. I knew they'd trap me. I saw a chance and sprinted, silent as I could. I shoved the door shut and locked it just as one of them reached it. They started slamming it. Then, gunshots, real ones. The wood splintered like wet paper. I dove to the side. My ears rang. I couldn't believe it. They were shooting through the door. I remember thinking, this is where it ends. I wanted to grab something, anything, but I had nothing. No bat, no stick. I thought of running upstairs. Maybe I could scream from the balcony. Then, my uncle appeared. I've never felt such relief in my life. He looked terrified too, but he had something. A steel rod from the guest room. We didn't even speak, just locked eyes. We were ready to fight if we had to. And then the door broke open. 3 men, standing there. We backed toward the main entrance. One of them, taller with a scar down his cheek, lunged straight at me. But right as his fist came flying, a hand grabbed his wrist. It was a police officer. He had snuck in through the back while the others covered the perimeter. In seconds, more officers stormed in, shouting, pushing the robbers to the ground. It was chaos. I sat down on the floor, completely numb. It was over. Or I thought it was. A few days later, the police returned to finish the report. One officer pulled me aside and said something that still gives me chills. It wasn't a random break-in. They weren't just picking houses. I asked him what he meant. We found your house circled on a printed map in one of their bags, along with a list of tech products, model numbers, names, even photos. From Instagram, they had planned this. They had targeted us. And the creepiest part? None of us had ever posted a full shot of our home online. Someone had been watching in silence. For a while. To this day. I still sleep with the hallway light on. I still double-check every lock, every night. Because now I know that sometimes, no matter how careful you are, they get in anyway. I was at my friend's house when he asked me to bring water from the cooler. He is such a procrastinator. This happened in April when I went to stay at a friend's house for a few days. We hadn't met in a while, and I was excited. We had plans to chill, cook food, and just enjoy the countryside peace. His house is a bit old and spread out. It has a large open courtyard, a cow shed in the back, and a well in the center. There are rooms built along the sides, like a square around the yard. During the day, it feels warm and calm. At night, it gets too quiet. One night, around 11:45, I went up to the rooftop alone. The moonlight lit up parts of the yard. I was texting my mom, telling her everything was good. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed someone move behind the cow shed. At first, I thought it was just a cow, or maybe even my imagination. But then I heard a sound, a loud clank, like metal hitting stone. I got a weird feeling in my gut. I texted my mom, "Talk later," and put the phone away. I called my friend and told him to come upstairs. He arrived quickly, and we stood silently looking down. And that's when we both saw him. A man, average height, dark clothes, walking slowly from the cow shed toward the well. He had something in his hand, looked like a long rod or stick. But what sent a chill down my spine was how calm he was. He moved like he belonged there. Then something even more bizarre happened. My friend suddenly turned around and ran downstairs. No explanation, no word, just left me standing there. I crouched low behind the edge and kept watching. A few minutes later, he came back, with the man. They didn't look angry or panicked. They were talking, quietly, but with urgency. Then my friend walked to the back of the cow shed and pulled something out from behind it, a large black sack. It looked heavy. He motioned for the other guy to help, and they started dragging it toward the cow shed entrance. As the sack bumped against the ground, the side of it shifted, and something fell out. A foot, a small foot. My heart stopped. It was bare, pale, a kid's, but it moved, it twitched. Whoever was inside that sack was still alive. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped my phone. I called the police immediately and whispered everything. I gave them the address and told them there was no time. By the time the police arrived, less than 10 minutes later, the man was gone. My friend was back in his room, pretending to be asleep, but the sack was still there, hidden just behind the cow shed under a tarp. They opened it. Inside was a little boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old, weak, barely conscious, but alive. The boy didn't speak for hours. When he finally did, all he said was, "They told me not to make noise." He had been missing for 3 days. The man who helped my friend drag the sack was never identified. My friend was taken into custody for questioning. Later, it came out he'd been helping someone hide the boy, but the why was never fully explained. I never visited that friend again. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't gone to the rooftop that night. If I hadn't looked down, if I hadn't called, that kid could have disappeared forever.